Well, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So, I today, I get a lot of questions or a lot of mistakes I see that people make um around their offers. And one frankly that I have made for myself is just trying to add too many things into your first offer. And your first offer could be defined as maybe your very first program. You're a newer entrepreneur, but also can be defined as if you are, say, in more of the growth stage of your business, being able to add in several or a new product or new several new products, right? So, for example, maybe going from a one-on-one to a group program. And the problem that I often see that is we end up adding in so much, right? We want to put like all these things that we've learned and all the different like tactics and such into this one offer. And we end up creating almost like this chaos, right? There's too many promises. Our messaging might be off. Our ICA, our ideal client avatar, might be off. Our process might not be set. And all of this combined can lead to wasted time, wasted money, and ultimately lost sales, right? So if you think about tech companies like Apple, for example, Apple didn't launch their iPhone right away. They had a core product that they tested and tried out. And in tech, we think about creating these things called MVPs. An MVP is not your most valuable product or person or product, right? It's the minimum viable product. So just as these companies do, I really invite you to think about before you are fully committing to this full-blown program that you're wanting to offer, what if you ran a beta or pilot or an MVP first to see to start use as a starting point? All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today on Built by BIPOC business tips and mindset shifts. What to include in your first beta offer. And why this idea of maybe adding all of the things sounds really, really good, but it's actually hurting your business. Okay, so for those of you who are new to me, my name is Carissa Begonia. Thank you for joining. I am a business coach for BIPOC entrepreneurs, a LinkedIn sales and marketing expert, and top voice. I'm a second generation Filipino American daughter of immigrants and the first and only in my family to start my own business. I really believe that entrepreneurship is the path to equity and that life design is liberation. And at Conscious Exchange, we're creating an ecosystem and a movement of BIPOC entrepreneurs with the same shared mission of achieving time, location, financial, and occupational freedom, not only for themselves, but also for their families and for their communities. So, and again, thank you for joining me for Built by BIPOC, business tips and mindset shifts. And here I share answers to these common questions I hear from entrepreneurs, as well as pointing out mistakes and ways you can avoid these common mistakes I often hear people making. All right. And if you think and you find like anything that I've shared with you today to be really helpful, I'd love for you to, connect with me, go ahead and DM me. You can also learn more and follow some of the past replays on our Conscious Exchange YouTube channel. All right. So let's get into today's topic of what to include in that first beta offer. All right. So what I want to start with is asking a core question. So the core question being, you might have many questions running through your mind. And one of the things, like, for example, that you maybe think about are like, okay, what should I include in this offer? What should I charge, right? When should I host it? When should I start? Maybe if it's a group, it's a cohort, right? But the real question I really want you to start to ask yourself first is, does this work? Does this offer, this program that I'm creating, actually work? Because in order for you to sell it with confidence and integrity, you have to believe that it works. And if you don't believe that it works, then how are you going to sell it? How are you going to convince anyone else or share with anyone else that it's going to work, right? And this idea of, does it work? This question, does this offer work? Does this program work? This can show up both consciously and subconsciously. So consciously, you might be literally asking yourself that and trying to like put all these pieces together. Subconsciously, what this could look like when you don't believe in your offer or when you don't believe in your product is avoiding sales, avoiding conversations, not talking about your offers, right? You might not even notice that you're doing that. You might just think, oh, no one's buying things. But it might be because you're not super confident in what you are building or what their offer is and if it actually works, right? I've heard this many times from my clients. So if the core question is, does this program work? Then the next thing to think about is, well, how is you have to believe it does. And then the next thing you can think about is, okay, well, how do I create belief? Well, belief comes when you are confident, right? So then we can go down through, well, how do I create confidence? And for me, I think for most people, people can become more confident in what they're creating and what their offers are when one, you do it yourself, right? And two, others do it as well, right? And so that's why I think it's really important for you to create, again, this first offer, this MVP, this beta, whatever you want to call it, this pilot, so that you can do it, get the experience of doing that yourself with a group of people who also can experience it, right? So that belief now goes from you believing, they believe, right? And that confidence is built up. Okay, so now that we know that we're like, okay, we need to bring ourselves to feel really confident about our offer for us to feel good about selling it. Then the next thing we want to do is think about, okay, what should we include in this offer so that we can actually build it? And I want to bring you to a framework that I have, I teach my students about confidence building when it comes to sales. So there's 6 steps to building sales confidence. 1 is feeling really confident in your skills, right? Your skill as a coach, as a consultant. 2 is confidence in your offer, right? So this is what we're talking about mostly today. Like, just because you're like, I'm a really freaking great, amazing coach, does not mean that you feel really good about the product or the service that you're currently offering, right? Especially if you're newer, right? The third step is capacity. And now what this can look like is either energy or process. Sometimes we really don't have the capacity to take on one more thing. And for us to understand if we have the capacity, it's also knowing what our process is. And not having one can often create a lot of chaos, right? Number 4 is articulation. And really, this is messaging. So messaging around who you are, what you do, right? What you believe in, your values, as well as being able to articulate that offer and not just features and benefits of an offer, but the transformation that someone will receive. What's the promise? Number 5 is lead generation. How confident you feel about being able to find people who are like interested in what you're putting down here. And then number 6 is closing, right? So if I gave you 100 clients or 100 leads today, would you actually be able to take them through a sales process flow that results in a sale? All right. So those are the 6 steps to building your sales confidence. And so one step I want to really focus on, and actually we're going to kind of focus on all of them, and how building and starting with this MVP is going to help you build all those areas of confidence. If you feel like dropping in the chat and comment for me, I would love to know, as I was sharing what, those 6 steps of sales confidence, where do you think you might need some extra TLC to focus on, to concentrate on? Because it might not be that your entire sales process is off. It just might be something within there, right? One of those 6. Okay, so let's break down what we want to put in this MVP so that we can build these 6 steps, 6 areas of confidence. So 1, if we do an MVP, right, maybe a smaller container or a shorter container of your offer, right? So maybe you're doing one-on-one coaching, for example, and that is normally 6 months, and instead it's going to be 2, right? What this does, especially if you're still just building up your skill set as a consultant or as a coach, right? Because building that skill set as a coach, consultant, service provider is different than being a business owner, right? Those are 2 different skill sets. So if you're still building that skill set of being really, really good at what you do, all good. You took your training programs, right? You did your certifications. You might want to start with something smaller, even if you see your competitors in the industry building, these big, huge offers that you're like, oh, that's so smart. I should do that. You're not there yet, and it's okay. What an MVP can help you do, or beta pilot can help you do, is start to develop those skills, that confidence, that all of those maybe more senior folks or seasoned coaches and consultants are able to walk confidently with, because they've been doing it for some time, right? There's something to be said about longevity, experience, etc. So first, building up using this MVP will help you build up that skill set. Number two is, okay, your offer, right? So, okay, I'm feeling good about being a coach, consultant, etc. Now we want to think about, how do we structure an offer that that is doable, that people want, right? That people believe in, that they see results from. Again, when you have something that is 6 months or a year or just really long, it could take you some time before you can get to those results, right? And there's some messy middle kind of stuff that happens. So what do we want to kind of test also in this offer when we're doing something smaller, shorter container, cheaper, etc.? One, pricing, right? So we can start to set a price that is both from really for ourselves to be able to name, to say out loud. You will probably see in the coaching industry, and for example, a lot of offers that start at $2,000, start at 5,000 plus, 5 digits. What it took them probably a minute to get there, one, right? And something I noticed from around pricing in particular, from my entrepreneurs who tend to be children of immigrants, is this fear of asking, right? Asking for the sale, asking for money. And that comes from something deeper than, just ask for the money, right? We're not trained. We're not used to asking for help, period. From our parents didn't ask for help, right? They came to the States just on their own, right? So how it's part of a little bit sometimes this mindset that we carry, this immigrant mindset of, I can't ask for help. So that translates often into pricing. I can't ask for money. I can't say out loud, this program is $2,000. So, okay, if that's a goal that we're aspiring to, we can get there, but maybe we need to start at something smaller. So can we ask for 200? Can we ask for, 500, 1,000, whatever that feels more comfortable asking for, right? So that's something we can test with that MVP, is your initial price. And just to get a gauge of how are people responding to that. Another thing I want you to create when you're building your offer is this one pager. I talked about this in a newsletter earlier, but the importance of having this one pager is somewhat for sending that out and speed and be able to give that to people, right, as they're asking about your offers. But another reason, and maybe even more important reason for you to have this, is for yourself. Is so that when you are on a sales call, for example, or you are talking about your business, it's really easy because it's basically the same thing that it's everything that you wrote on this one pager that you've started to commit to memory, right? Including pricing, benefits, transformations, things like that, right? Another thing that you're going to get when you are putting your offer out are testimonials. So remember I said, it's not just about you believing that this thing works. You believe that this works when other people experience it and they believe it too, right? Because they did it. So once people go through your offer or go through your beta, you'll be able to collect those testimonials. So even the idea of having a process to capture those testimonials is going to be important for you to build into the offer. So the third part that I'll get into for confidence building is your capacity, right? And so how an MVP can help you with capacity is you understanding structure and flow. So you've got this amazing offer, you've put it on a one pager, right? You know how it's priced. You want to be able to also create your client experience, whether you're doing an SOP, standing operating procedure for it, or literally just laying it out for yourself so that you can see how long this actually take me. What are the components? It's not just sometimes just get on a call for an hour and call it a day, right? What are the components that I might need to lay out and make sure there's some process around? And even if where can I maybe automate some of these things so that my nervous system can be pretty calm as I'm dealing with my first client, my first 5 clients, my first 10 clients, right? So creating that process will help you understand what your capacity is to take care of that and where you might need to iron things out, right? Smooth things out. So the next part is articulation. So how does an MVP help you with articulation? Well, you on that one pager, or as you are starting to talk to your offer, talk to people about your offer, for example, you're going to start seeing and understanding, what are the features and the benefits that people are starting to resonate with. What's the transformation statements that you're saying? What's the promise? When you're testing this, you're going to start getting actual feedback, not ones in your mind that you're making up, right? But actual feedback from potential clients or actual clients who join you on what your positioning should be. Positioning and messaging is it's not easy to do, especially in the beginning. There are going to be multiple iterations of this, and so if we kind of bypass the MVP stage, right, and we just go for the full program, we might have it all wrong. And we put all this time and money into building this course, right? Creating this 6-month program. It's $10,000, right? And no one bought it. And well, maybe it was because we didn't actually have the language correct. We didn't message to our ideal client correctly, right? So using that MVP will help you have these conversations and start to pick up on the words, the language, the things that people are resonating with, so that you can add that to your full-blown program. Right? Number 5, lead generation, right? Being able to find people, or to test the demand on your offer. One of the big things I hear from, again, my children of immigrants, my folks, my newer entrepreneurs who are wanting to leave their corporate jobs, or who have already left their jobs, say, and are nervous that they have to go back, is safety, right? They want to know and feel good about, is this going to work, right? And so we can do some exercises at the MVP, the initial stage, like market research, to be able to test that demand. So one of the techniques, for example, that I share with my students is using polls on LinkedIn to be able to gauge, the topics, for example, that you should be talking about, you should be including in that course, or that you should be including in that program. Right? Don't ask me what you should put in there. Ask your people, right? So whether you're doing polls on your LinkedIn, or if you don't have a huge audience there yet, then doing some other market research with some friends and family and such. But that step will allow you, again, to create more of that safety and security you need, because people, you've heard them say, yeah, I want this. They're already telling you what they're looking for, right? And not only are they telling you what they're looking for, I always say, don't think about market research as a throwaway, I'm just collecting information. No, people who answer your poll, the folks that you get on a call with one-on-one to do your market research, that's doing 2 things. One, it's planting seeds for them that you never know if they're like, hey, Carissa, I love this this program. Tell me when you're launching it, because I want it. I'll be one of your first students. I'll be one of your first beta clients, right? That's the best scenario. Another thing that can happen, though, is that person can also be a great advocate for you. They have some input because they gave you some input on it. They have some attachment to that offer, to what you're building. And so when you're asking them to, hey, do you know anyone that might be interested or might benefit from this, might actually need this? They're more, apt to saying, yeah, actually I do. And because they participated in the creation of this, they have some confidence that it's going to be a good product, and they can put their stamp on it, and they can feel good about sharing it with their people. All right. So that's MVP and lead generation. And then lastly, the close, the sale itself, right? So maybe the skill of sales is newer for you. Again, if you're a newer entrepreneur, growing an entrepreneur, you might not have this as in your back pocket as a skill set. It's something to learn. I know I had to learn it. And so when you're starting to first figure out your structure, your flow, just even getting comfortable doing it because it makes you all nervous and sweaty to do sales, then doing something with an MVP with a lower price point, with a smaller container, with less people, or shorter container and smaller with less people, there is not that there's less commitment, but it can also feel like less risk. I don't have to talk to all these people and sell them a $10,000 offer and make sure that this 6-month thing or this year-long thing goes off without hitch, right? Like there's more grace and understanding, especially if you're naming up front, hey, this is a pilot, a beta, an MVP. Help me help you, right? Or let's help each other out mutually. And there's understanding for that. So that can help you also practice your close, practice what it's like to even just be in a situation where you are selling. And hopefully actually land it, because not that the stakes weren't so high, but that it felt a little bit more casual, right? Or the pressure isn't as high. So those are the 6 areas of confidence that I think by creating your MVP, you're going to be able to build up your confidence, which then helps you build up your belief that this offer will work. Having other people run through it will also build up their belief that this will work. In the very practical thing that you get at that is testimonials that you can put on your sales page or your landing pages, etc. When you are now creating that signature offer or that full-blown offer, whatever you're doing, right? That you're not starting here with a lot of information, with a lot of unknowns, right? You're starting here and so that you can use that as information, data to improve on the next one, right? So hopefully I have given you some confidence ideas about what you need to do or why it's important to start with that MVP, that beta, that initial pilot, and then how you can start, what to include in it so that you start to build the confidence that you need so that you can eventually start to sell that bigger full-blown offer that you're excited to sell, that you see maybe other people are selling. All right. So those tips were helpful. And if there's any questions, feel free to drop those in the comments or the chat, and I'll take them. Otherwise, I love being able to break down these concepts for people because it took me some time to do my research, take all the courses, fail fast myself, do my own MVPs. And if you are wanting to get me to help, have more personalized help in looking at your business, I'd love to help you out. So one way we could do that is I'm offering these free LinkedIn sales and marketing strategy calls. So we can chat about, your first offer, what it will take for you to get that next offer off the ground. So what we do on those sales calls or on those sales and marketing strategy calls we'll come up with the 3 things that you really need to focus on so that you can launch that beta, right? And more so, walk away with very practical steps that you can implement immediately. Right. So if you're interested in having me look at, your current offer or what's your current situation and help you get that next one off the ground, right, or that first one off the ground, then go ahead and book that call. I'll drop the link in the comments, and it's also on my LinkedIn profile. Right. See if there's any other questions. There's the link if you need it. Okay. I haven't really seen questions, but, just wanted to say again, big thing that I think that holds people back from just starting, right? Just doing the thing, is that there's maybe so much to think about, so much to do. And I invite you to really think about this framework I've given you, building your areas of confidence, building that MVP so you can take this thing step by step. I know we have a tendency, if you're impatient like me, I want to go boom to the top right away. And, topic for another day, that doesn't work, right? And it actually can move you backwards. So sometimes we have to go slow to go fast, right? So again, If you found this helpful, really excited for you to test these things out. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Thank you again so much for joining me today on the Built by BIPOC Business Tips and Mindset Shifts episode. And if you want me to have give you a personalized view of your business, I invite you to book that free LinkedIn sales and marketing strategy call, and we'll give you those 3 different steps that you can take and take action on immediately so you can get yourself moving forward. All right, friends, thank you so much. Also, if you want to watch the replay on this, you want to replay it back for yourself, take more notes, or if you want to check out other tips and lessons that I've shared in past episodes, I invite you also to check out our Conscious Exchange YouTube channel. All right, friends, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. And cheers to building our liberatory futures together. Bye.